Tonight is the advisory team meeting on November 2nd, 2022 in the Community Development Building. And one recording here, and we'll put another one over here. Okay, just so we have it on tape, so I have for the notes, let's go around and just say our names. Michelle.
Leslie Gill.
Alexis DeVries.
Steve Blake.
Michael Holmes.
Okay, we are waiting for Yana Santiago. I think she's coming, and we are hoping that Corey is also coming. So we'll wait. Okay, guys. So this is kind of just the first. It's the first draft of this, but I know two or three times ago, this group said, "Hey, we'd like to have a summary report." All the time that we've spent so that the council and other people can see exactly what this group has done. So you probably looked at it a little bit. I won't go through everything, but it just kind of listed sort of a summary at the beginning, a brief background, who was on it. I listed some links here that go into more detail about what the process was, how people were selected. If people want to go back, come right, come on in. No, wherever you want. Right, yeah. We talked about the work, the recommendations that you all did, and then I know Corey at the last one said, well, we'd like in that summary to have a listing of our highest priorities. That was a request. So I put a few down that after going through all of them in each department, I put a few that seem to rise to the top each time, but obviously there are other bullets you can, other bullet points, you can take those off, we can add, and then sort of the what now, what happens now. So there are some bullet points there that the group has talked about the last couple times. And then a brief thank you to the team. I will say that on December 14th, all the council members will be invited, and all the department heads who came to these meetings will be invited just for a short kind of celebration. I can't promise karaoke or anything. But if you have any ideas, seriously, let me know, because there's nothing, I'd love to hear ideas of what you might think for that. So, and then after that is this, is the grid, and it's divided by department. The whole first page is basically about continuing the work. It's the same thing that's listed in the summary under the what now, so that, ourselves and other people know that this doesn't just stop. So we can add new things there also. Those are just things that this group has talked about. And then you can see that I didn't plan necessarily today to go through all of these, but I am happy to have us go through this however you want. There was one small thing that today, as I was walking through the City Hall lobby, I forgot that we didn't put in here. And it's kind of small, but it's, remember when this group, and I need to add it to this group asked if we would put like a small brochure together for low-cost, no-cost family activities. Do you remember that when we were talking about that? So the city did that for summer and then fall, and I just noticed today, because it's November, we need to now update that for the winter. So we'll keep putting those out. And we've put those out at different locations around town, and when we go out to like River City Days or Hispanic Heritage Festival, we would bring them places like that too. So I will add that. That was sort of a community engagement and communications item. I'm just going to add that here. And if you want to spend more time on one department, we can talk about that. If there's a department you want to specifically focus on tonight, and make sure that there are certain things. And then at the end, I need to make that a little more different color, but at the end is for City Council. That's sort of overarching. There were things that, as I was going through, I read through, do you only have 130 pages of summary notes? That's a lot. But I was going through every, summary notes from the beginning to the end and going through the formal recommendations that you all made to council and then recommendations since then. So it was really good to review all that, but there were some things that seemed to rise to the top for the council itself. So again, any changes, this was just a draft for you all to look at and see what you think. Nothing, nobody has seen this yet, so.
I don't have a real change. I just wanted to commit to thank you because this team would not have been kept going or been successful or to this degree for sure without you and your facilitation skills and willingness and everything. So it's been really great to work with you and keep us on task and keep us moving. And we've had a lot of changes that we didn't anticipate, and it totally took a new direction. But you spearheaded all of that really well. So thank you for that.
We just
Oh my gosh.
Michelle, maybe
You just reminded me, I got a text from the guy from the show.
I don't know, maybe we should add just a little bit
From
of
the show
attention.
that gave him an idea to there's a little room in the top to make like a little studio. Where people can record music.
I know
Or,
exactly
yeah,
what you're talking
yeah. And I forgot to text him back.
He loves that idea.
I know, and I keep forgetting.
Let's stay on that idea because that idea can be utilized. I'm sorry to interrupt and intervene.
Well, I was just
Writing on the front page.
That idea
You gotta
can be utilized through BSU at the school.
I want to thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying about it. But I just read it and I was like, oh, that's what I meant to do.
Because that is one thing we're working on is ideas and things to get involved with the community. And as much as these kids, the younger generation enjoys social media and everything that's, you know what I mean? I think a good collaboration with the Sheldon and the younger generation and see what can happen. I mean, y'all know.
Yeah. Yep.
That's one more avenue where they're not running around on the street.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that gives them something to do for
That's a
real.
great idea, though.
I read it and I was like, oh crap, I keep forgetting. I'm like, I gotta give him a
Your
call.
information too, but if you contact him, he'd love to meet.
No, I know. We texted and I was supposed to call, but then my kids got sick. It was just a whole thing. This whole thing. I was like,
It's fair.
Just because today I just read a letter, one of my clients who asked me to read a letter for her. And there was a lot of false information about this group in the letter. And I would classify the letter as propaganda. But it stated how Dominique was paid $20,000 and all that kind of stuff for 2 sessions.
Was it mailed to her house?
Yeah, it was mailed to Jordan Towers. I think it's being mailed to Ward 4. Some targeted people in Ward 4.
Okay.
And
She was here for 6 meetings.
so maybe just a synopsis of how this started with her, why it ended, kind of summarize then the direction we changed it to, and put in what she was contracted, what she was paid. So that is out there for everyone to see, and it's very transparent because this letter was there's a lot of things in there that was very falsified. Like Allie Heaney was paid $30,000. She wasn't paid $30,000. She was paid $15,000.
Who wrote the letter?
They did not have the courage to sign it.
I wouldn't trip about it because these are discussions I brought up right when it happened. So these are discussions we've already had. You know what I mean? Like from the very beginning.
I just think for the
I see a lot of
future,
political nitpicking.
this is for the future though, for us to have a document for the future, and so that we have the factual data in there for the future of how this group started and that.
I wonder if, it can be right here in the report. It could be also like an appendix A of what,
like a summary.
more of those details of costs and things like that. but some more detail, maybe what you're saying is kind of the background, we could add a little bit,
Because people
Yeah.
always bring up the cost, so that we were paid $75 a session we attended, you know, those kind of things. I mean,
that's all right.
absolutely put that in there, you know?
Okay, so maybe an appendix with costs.
With a budget compared to the actual cost.
Financial
We'll think about
statement.
that.
Financial statement.
Yeah, of what the group,
Are people okay with that?
I don't care.
Yeah.
This all seems too political for me.
Putting that part in.
Yeah. That's all it's about. It seems real nitpicky-ish.
It does.
Just that time of the year, but that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not a very political type person.
Well, when this comes out.
People know who we are. People have known about
Yeah, yeah,
the advisory group.
yeah.
I mean, they wanted to call it the task force. You know, they're not, I mean, it's just, this is information they know. This is, I think it's all politically based, my opinion.
I mean, with what I entered into with the city, I need to have a statement of a financial statement, see what state, that's part of my contract with Open Harbor and the Resource Center. It's no different.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got our financial statements every time we've had to file taxes. They've provided that W-9 to us.
But the other residents don't see that. The residents of Red Wing won't see our W-9s, I-9s.
Well, wouldn't that be whoever is in charge of the residents or whatever and helping them move forward to understand how to look that up and understand it?
This is going
Or
to be
is
for
that
all.
our responsibility?
This is going to be for all of Red Wing though to see.
All of Red Wing have seen it. At least all of Red Wing have seen it and knows who the advisory board is.
Well, it was new information to my client, and then she
Oh.
she believed it was 20,000, and it's not. So there are people that believe it's 20,000, and it's not. So
Well, we can, yeah, I suppose what I could do is put something together and send it to you, and then, I guess, it can either be like an appendix to this report, it can also be a link on the actual page, cost of the project, but it's not attached to here, that if anyone wants it,
Yep.
they could go online. So I see what you're saying. It's
I
a
like
way
the
we-
link.
Yeah, a link,
why
but
don't
it
you look
doesn't, you know, the actual, so the,
this was funded by
Yes,
taxpayer dollars. The taxpayer should be able to look it up and see the cost.
yeah, yep. So we could put that online. But the actual summary report is actually like what you're getting. These are the summary recommendations, you know, this is what were you saying, Michael?
No, I'm just curious, hasn't this been talked about before?
Oh,
This
yeah.
has been brought up before.
Oh, yeah.
When, I
Yeah.
forget her name.
And
I'm
we
pretty sure.
budgeted more because, you know,
Yeah.
it hasn't been always 12 people at every
You know,
meeting.
this
So,
whole
you know,
Dominique
yeah.
situation has been brought up.
Right, but in
In
3 years, people won't remember that, and they might appreciate going back and see what it costs. Might give a basis for another group like this being formed again too. How much is it going to cost? This is what it's going to cost. We have a precedent set of what has happened before. It's just being transparent and saying, we're not saying each individual how much we made off it. It's just members were paid $75 for each session they attended.
I get that. I'm just trying to understand why is it such a urgent need all now?
It's
When
not
this
an
has been
urgent need now.
discussed.
It's because we're discussing this report and Michelle
Yeah.
asked for any additions. And so
Yeah.
I'm just giving my opinion on it.
And as I am.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know.
I'm not countering anything you're saying.
Yeah, so I think what I would do is.
The link.
Huh?
Look, the link.
Yeah.
I think
you
that's
know,
a good
the one
idea.
pager, so you guys
Yeah,
don't have to see it go, I don't know, you know, do you agree with this?
Most people got the opportunity to see what's happening,
Yeah.
what we're doing, if that's what the consensus is.
And I think if we had the original budget
Mhm.
amount, so then they see that, okay, we spent a lot less than we were budgeted.
Definitely,
Yeah. I
definitely.
100% agree.
Yeah, I think that's,
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could even list,
and then list that.
any other
as one of our-
committees that are
one of our
getting paid.
accomplishments.
right.
That's right.
You know, why would ours be the only one that's in there?
Yeah, total transparency.
You know,
Yeah.
is HRA, do they get, you know, X amount for a meeting or whatever? You can list every committee in the city that gets hey, you know.
Nope.
Okay. Good, okay, so that's a good addition. Wondering if you guys have thoughts on those highest priorities, the ones that kept coming up, and I'll just, again, the reason why, 1, 2, 3, I guess I listed 4 there for you guys to look at, see if you agree. One was the language accessibility, I mean, that came up in every single department, every single time. So that goes to the top. It seemed like one thing when, you know, we were talking with the police, either early in the project and even later in the project, that idea of community policing, getting more people in the parks, movements, and streets, that continued to come up again. Let me know which ones. And then the affordable and supportive housing units, you guys spent a lot of time on housing in this group, and that seemed to be
Needed.
strong.
Do you know when that 48 unit one was coming up to council?
The affordable and supportive housing unit, I believe that Leah Hall from Three Rivers is scheduled to come November 28th, just to give an update, and then again have the council really talk in detail in late January.
Or the one in Winona,
So maybe they can, yeah, great.
It would be so nice to have that here.
I just had Liberties.
And then one thing, and I think, you know, Alexis and I remember others too were really, who was Alexis? I think it was Sam, and others were really strong on this. Continue to have city staff, boards, and commissions accountable to city council on their equitable strategies and actions, so that every single year, departments and boards and commissions have to be accountable on what steps they're taking to be more equitable. And we did create, that's in here, there is a chart that they have to fill out now in their 5-year plans and how those are more equitable. So, you know, that accountability piece seemed to be important, so I added that there. But there is no number of, you know, you could add some to this too. So
I have a question. With that, what you just brought up, does that include nonprofit organizations, or is that a separate
that is
situation?
separate.
Like, I know you work with nonprofits a lot. Is what she's talking about, the whole equitable statements, is that different from
It's
city
different.
versus?
I need to address that when I'm, before the funds are released. So yes, I personally addressed it in both, that the funds I've been receiving and will receive for these next 2 seasons, or the next season of Hope and Harbor and the first season of Good County, yes, was part of my proposal. I had to address it.
I'm wondering if the possibility of expanding that into nonprofits as well.
It is. I
It
mean,
is.
you have to when you ask for it.
Yeah, and the only way
Okay,
that
thank
it's, yeah, when the city, when people request, like in 2023, when people request money from the city, let's say, River City Days or City Museum or any group that's asking for money from the city, and they fill out that PUP form, they will have to say how they are being equitable in their project.
It's also
But if they don't ask for
in-kind.
city money, then the city can't really.
It's also required in just in-kind asks, right? Not just financial asks. Isn't it also required in in-kind asks?
Well, you know, that's a good question, because the PUP form is just now being redone, and I know this group said, hey, we should also provide some resources so people don't go, I don't know what. So that PUP form and that resource list is being done now, so that in January, that when all the new stuff starts coming in, that'll be different.
Because I did not have to fill out a cup for my two requests, but I did have to address how, how I'm serving all.
But was that because you did it yourself, or was there a question that you had to answer?
I had a question that I had to answer. I didn't fill out the actual form. It was part of the presentation.
But was it a city form, or was it a
So I didn't fill out a form. I had to do a presentation. And Kay gave me highlights,
Oh, okay.
I think, is that how?
Okay. I think that still needs to be more formalized, so when you fill out the actual.
They
form,
also
it asks
asked.
that question. Okay.
During my presentation.
I have seen that. I have seen boards and commissions now asking that question
Mhm.
of people. just like a board and commission and the HRC, just other boards asking, how are you going to do that? So the boards and commissions are starting to think more about
Trying to
that.
incorporate it too, but like in business and, I mean, it's kind of easy to get, our, like online purchasing site, to have Spanish translations too, but they said I have to have somebody look at it because the translation, especially with food, sometimes it's really strange, so it might be a longer term project, but it's almost ready to launch, so I was gonna get a couple, but it's like every single project you have to go in and like,
Oh,
the course
every
is a lot.
project.
yeah. I want the,
That's a dope idea.
yeah,
Yes, that is good.
yeah. But at least where I can, might not be everything, but at least there'll be
Okay.
some.
Okay, good question though. Okay. Anything else? Do you want to walk through the police part? Because that's how we started, and that's how we kind of ended. And the first A, B, and C, let's see, it's on page 16 and 17. So A, B, and C were mostly getting officers out into the community, doing that, really community policing, and also promoting the events and information more widely in the community. That came up just last time, and those different ideas. And then A. C, D, E, and F, and actually G were focused on language accessibility and building those relationships with the Hispanic community. That came out a lot in the last meeting. And there are a lot of improvements that can be made in that language accessibility, and also having a police officer liaison with the Hispanic board outreach, and then meeting with the Hispanic community, as a group. So that was that. And then H, I, J, and K were focused on what we were kind of working on at the beginning, more about sexual assault and sharing data. So that's what's there now, and if you tonight or think of things in the next couple days, next week, but we can see what you guys think about that.
Aces is just like half of
And all of these, if you're wondering, I just took these all from the notes. I didn't, wasn't just making these up. Like I read through all the recommendations from the notes. But, and if you see anything here that you want to put as a priority, these could either be highlighted, as well as, they're also listed in the center. There are a lot for the library. I mean, you guys, there were a lot of really good things here throughout. They're also listed alphabetically. I wasn't going to, but it was really, I kept going back and forth, and it was just easier to find the things if the departments were alphabetized. That's why they're in that order.
I kind of wish Sarah was here
I
for
know.
H and I.
Yeah.
I can't, I would like to see that a lot more. The research current. It says H, research, page 18. Research current best practices in Minnesota for working with those who are reporting sexual assault, work with a small resident group and local staff to improve resident access and experiences with increased training, such as ACEs. And then also with I, regularly meet with and build closer relationships with the sexual assault advocates at home. I like to see a stronger connection. Like they used to have the thing at Hanish's, coffee. What was it coffee with a cop? Was that what it was called? We had a lot of really good productive meetings, you know, those couple of times I was able to attend. I like to see more stuff like that.
So would that be, do you think, so maybe I should add coffee with a cop under A, increase the number, but I want to make sure that I'm not, are you thinking specifically for Hope or this one under
No,
B6? Oh, okay.
I just, maybe because I'm impartial, because I
Yeah.
work for them,
Yeah.
I apologize. But it just made me think about that, how good of a time I had interacting with those guys.
You know,
Yeah.
How often do they have coffee with the cup? Because they had it not too long ago.
Yeah, but they,
I never heard of it.
I don't remember exactly how much,
It was
but
interesting,
yeah.
because I literally got to sit and speak with an officer
Mm.
who was involved with a Brooklyn Center situation.
Oh, okay.
Like deeply involved in it, and just being able to sit down and have those conversations with them and understand the mindset. It was, you know, it was interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I still feel the way I feel, but that's regardless of the fact. Being able to have that conversation, that was a lot. So, I think a lot more of those should be had.
So under A, Michael, where it says increase the number of events where the police engage with the community, it's on the bottom of page 16, add coffee with a cop as an example of, yeah, okay. I think we put shop with a cop.
I was gonna say that was
Right.
better.
Coffee with the cop, right
Ride-alongs
around
are
the
really
last
big
time.
too, if they could promote that again.
Which one?
Which I know they're really on the staff, but ride-alongs, for me, that was,
Okay.
extending
Yeah,
a half a day. I mean, there's just things you kind of realize, like, okay, this is, you know, you're parked on
I'd
the
be
highway,
first on the
you're parked on the
side
highway,
if they did
the
that
whole
again.
cars, this is
Yeah.
vans go over, cars go by, and you're sitting there standing out there, and you're like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of danger just on, you know,
Yeah.
simple things, and it's like, and people don't slow down, they don't move over, it's like, you know, so they're under, I mean, you imagine the stress that people are under when you're constantly like, okay, I'm gonna get hit, I'm gonna get hit, and you're trying to focus on your job and people, and,
Right.
you know, it's just, it's not a good situation mentally, so there, you get stress on top of stress. I think when people realize that, it's kind of like, okay, I get it, now how do we fix it so we can change it?
No, I'll add those for sure. You'll see they have green next to some of them that have started. It doesn't go into detail to, you know, how much or anything like that. There's also a column, I didn't really go into that, but, you know, there are a number of columns. One is the department, one is the recommendation that you all make. One, if it's green, just means the work has started. No color means it hasn't started at all yet. I have another skinny column next to it that I was planning on adding a bright yellow as your highest priorities. You know, so whatever you come up with in this list of highest priorities, I was planning on just highlighting that so that the council and other people can see, hey, this is what the team at the end of it really felt like people should focus on first.
I think another place that more presence could be for the city and for the police, and that would be Project Community Connect. Neither were there. That gets a lot of people. This year was kind of a flop, but I'm so glad I just had a booth. It had nothing to do with it. But typically it's a very good, well-run thing. The person who's usually in charge is on medical leave, which is a bummer. But that would be a great place to have some officers there, to have the city there, having information like this out, or places where people could get information. Because the stand coverage is there, right? You guys put it there? Yeah.
What was this?
Project Community Connect.
Who all knew about that?
It's, I don't know, about 250 people show up every year to it. It's all the most of the nonprofits. Hope Coalition was there.
Where was the location?
It's always at St. Joe's
St.
Church.
Joe's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Hope Coalition is really involved in it, and
I understand that, but I'm thinking I try and separate, it sounds weird, from me being involved with Hope, me being involved with all these other factions. I'm speaking speaking on behalf of, as a community member. Did you know about that?
No, apparently I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, did you know about that? So, and the reason I'm asking is, how is that being promoted or,
Three Rivers promotes it.
okay.
Yeah, Three Rivers is the one who sets it up. But I think they partner with Hope Coalition.
So we can also try to, and I think that was under communications that the city has now kind of said, we used to only be able to communicate about things that the city like would sponsor, and now after COVID, we're putting a lot more out so that people can learn about housing education or those classes, you know, and things like rivers and stuff. So hopefully like something like Project Community Connect, we should be promoting that.
I mean, community ed was there, you know, so there were some things thrown in and stuff, and care clinic, and I don't know, there was probably 18 of us there or so. What'd you say?
Yeah,
18.
yeah. Well,
The code thing was kind of disappointing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Many people they just, you know. Oh.
The big thing is you go there and get free coats, and the person in charge of coats, they were still in Chicago the night before.
So, did people have thoughts on sort of the what now? That's on page 3. And this group, a community group, maybe not the same people, but a community group right at the bottom of number 3 should come together in 3 years to review your recommendations, engage the city's progress on the action items, and identify ways to continue moving equity work forward. So based on what this group said, it was sort of like it would be independent of a board or commission, it would meet very short term, and it would provide a report and findings. That was sort of this group's way, I think. You might have that, or Sarah, ways so that this definitely is not going to just sit there. This will be incorporated into different departments, but it would be sort of an objective group coming in again to say, how are we doing? So does this group still feel like that's a good idea? I want to make sure you guys.
Well, I think there's gotta be checks and balances.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it was a waste of time.
Right.
Because the way this, I too am impressed how you, the synopsis, because it's straight to the point, it's easy to read. Anybody out there in the community can read this and highlight, and it's plain English. And for somebody coming in 3 years, I think it'd be easy for them not knowing anything what happened to go through this. Okay, yeah. Well, talk to the council. What happened here? What did we do here? Why wasn't this done? Or this was done. Okay. I think it'd be easy. Go checklist in 3 years.
Would there be, I wonder if we could add, maybe on you, probably, Michelle, like, as things progress from now to 3 years, like, to incorporate those things or something too, so that so in 3 years, they'll be able to look back, this is what happened from 22 to 25.
Yes,
Or
so
23
what
to
I'm
26
planning
or
on.
whatever.
Yeah. I'm planning on including almost all of these recommendations. It could be all in there's that column that says this is in the draft 2023 to 2025. It's like a 3-year equity plan. So, and that will like every quarter, and that's something that the HRC will kind of monitor. That should be updated. So in these different things, it's like, hey, what are we doing here? So if we do something like continue to collect more data through the revenue, I'm just pulling out a thing, through the revenue report card. So when that revenue report card comes out in January, it'd be like, okay, then we monitor and we say, where are we now? See, and then there's that. So I'm hoping that that equity plan, this sort of goes into that, and then this chart continues to be updated. So hopefully in 3 years when a group comes together, they wouldn't have to ask all the questions. They would be able to look here and go, okay, that's happening. Oh, this one isn't.
Yeah.
How come? Why? So, good question. I don't know what you guys think about that, but these would continue to be followed and monitored over those 3 years.
Right, that progress noted.
Be on the website so people could click on
That's
there,
a good
go,
idea.
hey, equity plan, where are we on that? And then Okay. Yeah. If you see anything here that you're like, what was that? Like 9, I'm looking at that one, E, it says, sponsor the citywide job, or sponsor support, because I think it was Hope. I know Sarah was really big into helping to get a job fair going, but, each of these little things, they're just all different things that add up one big thing. But if you are interested in something and you don't see it here, it's possible I missed something, so, but I try not to.
It's interesting when going door knocking, and residents are really speaking these things already. Like, this is what they want. They one flat out said, I'd like to see more community policing. So we had a really good conversation about what the police department wishes they could do too. They're so short-staffed, but they know they wish they could do more. And encourage you to go talk to Chief Romer and many times they talked about having more community events. And it's just said on weekends, because we have so many people who work Monday through Friday out of town, and they're tired or homely, And Night to Unite and all that's on a weeknight. And for people who who work in the metro and come back, they don't really have time by the time they get home to go to those events.
We still speak to calling the police involvement.
It could be anything.
The city councilman was at page 20, number C. Support the idea of a youth center when the community identifies a concept that also includes youth and planning, so on and so on. Is that something that has been discussed?
That is just sort of this idea that lots of people seem to be talking about. I don't know by whom or if it would come forward, but I remember, especially you, Michael, but others talking about a youth center and how important that would be. And so this one's kind of vague because the city council and the city are not going to lead it. They're not going to staff it. They've already said, at least this group. But they could support it. They could support it financially. They could support it maybe with having a staff member on a steering committee or something. So lots of communities who do have youth centers, they are sponsored by city, by some of their city government. So that's why it says support. And it could be either, maybe I did say that, allow for some seed money dollars to go into startup costs and potentially some operating costs. That might be a little too much detail, but that's kind of what that was saying, Michael. Like, if this comes before the council and this idea comes up from a collaboration of people, that the council knows this advisory team felt that a youth center was important.
Well, I'm just kind of worried because as I read on, I'm wondering how C and D couldn't have been combined as one. A community youth resource center?
So,
And they could be. They definitely could be.
Because I honestly, I don't see a lot being done for the youth. Like, these kids are begging.
Yeah.
For years.
Michelle, on D, Hope and Harbor is not a part of the Cook County Resource Center. They're two separate entities. They're two separate nonprofits. Well, Hope and Harbor. Cook County Resource Center is under the fiscal sponsorship of the United Way right now, but at some point, maybe its own 501c3. It's just a fiscal sponsored organization right now.
Okay, yeah, this is something this was kind of new to
Yeah.
me, so I
And Michael,
wanted to ask about
the
this.
Goodhue County Resource Center, it's not connected to a youth center. It focuses on the social determinants of health. It's a separate thing completely than a youth center. And the community hubs that are around the country are not connected to youth centers.
I get all that. I
Yeah,
get all
so-
that. Totally understand that. Totally
But you're
respect
saying
that.
youth center
But
with
what about
resources.
these kids?
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. I mean, like, we've had the conversation. just write the grants and get the money.
You know, if we
that's the
get
thing.
the grants for you, why can't we get them for the kids?
But I wrote them out, so go ahead, I told them,
I'm not asking who wrote them
Right.
up and all that. man.
just write the grants and get the money. There's, the money's out there, just somebody has to write the grants for it.
That's, okay, never mind. That's not the point I'm trying to get at. The point I'm trying to get at is we put so much effort into us as adults. Why can't we put that same effort into this younger generation?
And absolutely,
These kids don't know how to write
Right.
grants and all this stuff.
no, adults would,
Why ain't
adults,
us as adults helping these kids do that?
right, and the adults who
We're worried
want the
about
youth
our
center have, would
pocketbooks.
just have to sit down and write the grants. That's, the
How
money's there.
nobody is doing that and focusing on that with kids,
But-
setting these kids up for.
Then get a group of people together and write the grants yourself. That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody wrote the grants for me.
I'm
Write
not
the grants.
asking about you. I'm asking about the kids.
Because you're saying, why is anybody giving the, you have to just, somebody has to write the grants. So just get somebody to write the grants.
See,
All right.
this is that whole thing of money makes the world go round. That whole mentality is that, you know, people care so much about money this, money that, and we're forgetting about the real situation. Our youth, they're going to be here. They're going to be here way longer than we are.
Right, and I had our grants to get the rent and stuff and to buy the paper clips for the resource center. That's, you know, so,
So what I'm wondering is, Liz, I'm gonna take Open Harbor
Yeah,
out, but
it's
is there
not
something
associated.
that you're doing? Is that with the church? What's that?
that is the resource center. And it is, but it's completely separate from Hope and Harbor.
Okay, got it.
It's not,
So I
yeah,
can say this initiative by United Way?
it's nothing to do with Hope and Harbor.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully, after this, you know, there will be, through the Y, through who knows, different people. But we won't necessarily be able to sell that right now, but the idea here was to let the council know, hey, that idea of use is super important to this group. And if it comes forward.
I'm just thinking, could we do something like with Ignite? They had some grant writing things with business. Could even Ignite have a youth grant writing session? Or could they, you know, could we take some of that funds and do a workshop or you know, people have those different ideas, they can come in, they'll help them write it. They can network, maybe have a few speakers talk about how they did it. And that
Yeah,
way-
Zoe from the bookstore, I've just written my own, but Zoe has said before she would help people write grants. She wrote them for Mail for years.
You know, and that kind of gets them involved too at a younger age and develops leaders, and I mean, it would be kind of a neat thing to do.
That's a dope idea.
I mean, kind of that's part of that mentorship thing, but specifically if it was, you know, how to get the funds and, you know.
They're not fun.
Yeah, I know.
They get turned down for most of them.
Get used to like,
You guys know it.
how other people say that,
It's
that
like-
says yes, or thousands.
You spend $20, $25
But
right
somebody
now,
will
and
if
they
you
say no.
ask me.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yep, great.
I know. I just, you know, go to, I like the police thing in Spanish.
Oh, that you would like it in Spanish?
No,
Oh.
I mean, I'm really glad that.
Oh,
yes.
it's, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Just, you know, the highest priorities in here. I mean, I'm not advocating for the Hispanic community, but I'm pretty sure there are other people that speak another language. I think it would be just better like a multi-language or something like that.
Yes.
Or
No, and we can, we could just say language accessibility. The city right now is putting its effort into translating in Spanish. But we could just take that out, especially in Spanish. And that's what we are focused on right now because it's the people the highest number of people who don't speak
Yeah.
Spanish. But we can say also, upon demand, if someone does request something, and we do say that, if somebody's requesting something like Chinese, then we would do that. So, but I see what you're saying. Maybe just, are you saying like expand language accessibility for residents in every department? And
Yeah,
leave it
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think on page 14 on F, because I know we talked about this last time, that like, when we talk about fixing the sidewalks, that the city is doing that and not charging? Because I thought it was a homeowner's thing. Can we somehow say like, it's not, those homeowners that are fixing those sidewalks, those homeowners aren't being assessed that? And I remember we talked about it because you fell, like, when it's, I wonder if we should designate it as the city is fixing those, not home.
Oh, yes, if they are pushed up by tree roots in the boulevard, the city does pay for those.
Right.
Okay, so continue to,
Have them city funded.
fix and
Make
fund.
it,
Yeah.
fix and fund, because I didn't know the city did that for free.
yeah. Now, if it's a detail, but if it's propped up by a big tree that you have in your own yard, then they won't. But if it's propped up by a city boulevard tree, then they will.
So we should probably have that in here, then a boulevard tree.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of keep glancing at stuff and let me know if there's something you see that either doesn't make sense, seems like it's confusing.
Page 21, the Juneteenth budget.
Okay.
Last year was 10, now it's 5.
We can put in that you want it to be 10. They're having to cut $1 million, that's why.
See, that's what, that was discussed and just, I guess that can be discussed in a different situation.
Right, now, that could be discussed like at the HRC.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that.
And ask for that to be bumped up again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is possibly this year, other groups will
Because
put in money.
when were we gonna be told about that? Because the last meeting, it was talked about at 10.
Yeah, I know. Yep. And then between that meeting and the budget workshop, everybody had to go through more and slice and dice, so. But it hasn't been approved yet, and it won't until December. So that could be if the HRC advocates to have it increase. Where is that, did we say? What number is that?
Page 21,
Oh, yeah, E.
E, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, preliminary budget has been set, yeah. I can check again on that. It would be really nice if some other groups came forward and helped with that. Mhm. Well, I think we can,
Michelle,
we
let me
can
just-
advocate for that, Michael.
Within the engineering part where it talks about like the road construction and all that, there's a lot of concern, people feeling like they don't get enough notice in front of their, like when it's gonna happen in front of their home to prepare. And also
I didn't get
on
none.
7th,
Tired.
it's like they did both sidewalks in the street at the same time, so like those kids have nowhere to get on the bus, and people walking have not nowhere to walk. So to really, they felt it was really poorly planned, because, the homeowners down there saying we can't, both sidewalks are
Mhm.
torn up, and so they have to, and you're kind of on the bluff there.
Right, is it
So-
moving right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so to get more notice and then maybe have time to like have an input of how people are, how they're gonna be able to,
Right.
get around down there.
Yeah, so I know.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. Now, they do send letters
Same
to
thing in
every
my
single
corner.
person, then there were 2 neighborhood meetings, and then they do weekly emails to everybody. So we're trying to figure out, you're supposed to get weekly emails, but I will check.
But like
actually.
how do kids
And
get off the
translated.
bus when both sidewalks are,
Right,
they literally are walking in the street now?
okay. I'll
Like they need to come up with something else.
Okay, okay, no, that's fair. Yep. Sidewalks, okay. Yeah, that sounds like that's a need right now.
And it sounded like they ran into some problems they weren't anticipating, but, still,
Both
you
sides
gotta be able
of the
to
same. Yeah,
have people walk safely around there.
okay. I'll try to get back on that soon, like this week to you. And maybe they can get that information out to that neighborhood too. They should. What were you gonna say, Jen?
About the, like, grade 14, the Star Junior finally. That's the first point. I was thinking, the police department, they can use also the flight pass to, get the students interested. But, usually they target the seniors. And, there are too many options in the last year that they can decide. I suppose, I was thinking maybe if they, invited, a student for 10th grade, 11th grade, they have, more time to think about it or see what is going on, what is, the career about it and things. But, when you target just the seniors, they have, in the last year, everyone, send all the information, you can be here, you can study that, and then, the students get more stressed if they don't decide what they are
Well,
doing.
and when they only do the seniors like that too, what happens is some of them have the prerequisites and they maybe change their mind and now they're like, oh shoot, I really want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to go this way in my career, and they decide that the summer of before their senior year, and now they don't have the right prerequisites to get in. So that's a pretty common thing that the seniors are running into too with that. Yeah, they can
I was thinking
expand it.
maybe if they could target 10 to 12,
Mhm.
they will have
Right.
more time to think about it.
And I think, with only having Mick right now, I think that barriers only have Mick doing it, if they,
Yeah,
but maybe he could
I know.
oversee somebody else or something with young,
Yeah. I know.
No, that's good.
yeah,
Every department should.
his kids want in that program.
Yeah.
Like they were telling you, Alexis, they can bring you through. I mean, they could start small or big,
Yeah.
because they could do tours like little kids and so.
Yeah, I sent my daughter last year to a camp in Winona, and they have like for 5 days, and each day they show one career, and she said, nursing is not for me, but she was, into the welding, welding thing, and they arm something like a little robot. So she can, see that
Right.
he tend to go to this way than the nursing or medical thing. So yeah.
Well, they,
And she's in, now it's 9. She was in 8. So I think so. Doing more those kind of stuff, they, clear the mind for
well,
them.
the Native American liaison takes the Native kids. It would be nice if the school would partner with Hispanic Outreach to have more targeted towards, because I know you don't have Native, you don't have
Also,
Hispanic
Black
Outreach,
Student
you don't have
Union.
one, but, that would be nice for the school then to contact you guys to say, we take this targeted group to these different things, because they do that, because they have Native American liaison,
Yes, well, note that. Okay, good. Anything else?
So you're talking about taking tours at the police department, right? I'm sorry, I'm
They give
confused.
it what?
No, was that what you said
Yeah, I
about?
was just saying
Oh.
that during the police conversation, they mentioned wanting to get kids in, maybe different, you're talking about more like career and showing them what a career is, but then even when they're little kids.
Well, yeah, like today, they had the fire department come to the preschool today, and they got to do all that. Yeah, right over there at
I saw
Building
them at
Block.
St. John's preschool the other day.
And so, like, that was cool. That's what I was talking about, That was kind of like what I was talking about last time.
Does the police department have an Explorer program here?
They don't right now. But that's kind of what I was hearing Janet saying, so whether
Or
it's
have
called the
they?
Explore program.
Have they ever
They
had one?
did a while ago, they did have, I can't remember what they called it, but it was like a class that kids could come to, and sometimes they would have quite a few. I mean, like 8, 9, 10 sort of graduate from, I don't remember, it was before my time. I've been here 5 years, and it's before me, but it was something that they used to do. And so I think, isn't that what you're talking about, Jane, to kind of bring back sort of where they would learn about the career?
Yeah, what I mean is, get the students interested in the police department, if they
Yeah.
want to be a officer,
Yeah.
and they can see what they do, and, those kind
Yeah,
of.
the Explore program, that's like 14 to 18-year-olds. So it starts young, and then when they're at senior in high school, then it's over. Then they go into reserves if they want to go into more stuff like that. But this is for junior high and high school kids. And they have a regular, it's regimented. They have, meetings like once a month. They do it all year. And they go through, they have competitions throughout the state. And they'll do crime scene investigation. They'll go out and shoot at shooting range, and they'll go through everything a police officer does. And like I said, this starts at like 14 years old.
Yeah.
To get kids into looking, 14,
Yeah.
they're not thinking about what the heck they're going to do in their career, But this is just something. Well, hey, this would be interesting, and it's police officers who are assigned to this group, and then they go through the whole thing, and
Cool.
yeah,
So it's called
it's a commitment for the police department, obviously. So.
Yeah, this
I
kind
think
of.
that would be a
looking
dope
about-
turnout, to speak of 1990, when they came around to the different neighborhoods. I can only speak for South Park, but when they pulled up the fire department, the police station, all those cats, man, them kids, man, was in heaven. And if you implement, like you said, that Explorer program, implement something like that around here,
They get uniforms. They may go help out River City Days and stuff like that. They'll ride along with officers once in a while, so they
That
get
sounds cool.
the whole gambit.
Okay, good. We'll add that for sure.
Chief probably won't want to hear about that.
No, we're
Because
at
that's
It's gonna go staffing.
that is a big commitment.
Yeah.
Everything is like, yeah, we could, but staffing, which is understandable,
I
but
know. I think they're getting increased. I hope so. We're gonna put it in here. That's good. Good. Good addition. Okay. Well, we definitely don't have to stay till 8, that's for sure. This one was just to kind of focus in on, and is there anybody who would like to, it'd be nice for as many of this group as possible. I was thinking that this would either be presented on November 14th or November 28th. There are 2 meetings in November, and November 14th would be preferable, which is it's a week from Monday. And this would just be, it would be a presentation. It's at the beginning of the meeting. This is presented to them. They generally will accept it. And it's, it'd be kind of nice for this group just to even just be there, even if there's one person who wants to speak to it. It can be short and sweet. It doesn't have to be anyone. If nobody wants to, I will present it, but it would be great to have the team there, or some members of the team. So, what do you guys think about that?
on the 14th.
It's
I have to
Monday
see.
at 6 o'clock. Don't have to be there.
Can I add one more thing? On page 15 under D, there is a quite extensive list already through Three Rivers.
D, letter D, under the
On page
library.
15, under housing, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
And then,
But say again what you said is.
so Three Rivers has a very extensive, they have a whole, it's called the Goodhue County affordable housing list. It's like 3 pages of all the properties, all the programs, and then private landlords and stuff.
Okay, but
So-
will it, I think what people wanted to know, and I don't even know if it's possible, is if I need housing, could I go somewhere and say, and look and see,
Good county resources.
and would it say 1492 Woodland Drive has, you know, this house is available and here's how much
Yeah.
I have to pay?
And then,
But we don't have that, do we?
no, not yet.
Okay.
We will be developing that though.
Okay, sure.
Strategy partners need to research more than this could be through,
Oh, yeah, you can see that I didn't know what to put.
okay?
You're right, I didn't, so what would I put there, that Three Rivers is developing this, or that the Good
The Resource
the
Center.
Resource Center, okay. Okay, well, that's good to know. Okay.
I nominated Liz to do this, man, to give the presentation, because it seems like this is all about the resource center.
No, it's like two things.
That's all I hear. Well, I'm just confused, like,
There's a
all
lot in
right,
there.
our question, we're talking about cutting budgets, the city had to cut $1 million, you said. You take $5,000 from an event that was guaranteed $10,000, but give something that for $20,000 to this resource center that won't even, I haven't heard acknowledge anything for the youth.
Well, I guess for the recommendations for the purposes of this, I mean, I would say that the council has not agreed on a budget yet, so someone could advocate for the 10,000. And the Goodhue County Resource Center was just at the last meeting, so that was just, and actually it won't be approved until November 14th. I think they were talking about 10,000 this year and 10,000 at the beginning of next year to help it start. But I think they've asked people to come to the next meeting to explain what it is. That's all I know.
Okay.
But I think for this purpose, I mean, there are probably 2 squares here that have the Goodhue County Resource Center, but the rest are all, you know, I don't know. I should count up and see how many of these are, how many recommendations there are.
So
Because there are a lot.
this description of E either doesn't fit, because this is kind of open harbor, and then
What page?
15.
On E?
Right?
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's not stable, consistent. Yeah, right, okay, I'll take that out. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Housing is divided kind of into 2 sections, one under community development, those were the things that the community development department can do, and then one under the HRA and what they can do, so that's why that was under there. What do you think about the document itself, though? Do you feel like it, what do I want to say, reflects the recommendations that this group has put forward?
No. At least from my opinion, I can't speak for them, I'm not speaking for nobody else.
Yeah.
Let
But
me make
tell
that
me-
very, very clear.
Yeah,
No,
but
I don't think it reflects, no.
Okay, so tell me what I can do to make it reflect that. 'cause-
I'd like to see more youth involvement. Like, I just really don't understand why there couldn't be a youth resource center that has been talked about for the last few years now.
Mhm.
It keeps getting pushed to the side for other things. Now, you know, something with June, you know, we got Juneteenth, the only thing acknowledging Black history here in Red Wing. Now it's just got a kick in the nuts, saying you guys aren't gonna, you know, what was said, the 10, and that's what I was worried about from the very beginning, is getting played and tokenized. Now I feel like Juneteenth is just being tokenized and it's being forgotten about, just like the younger generation.
Well, I guess what we can say is continue to support Red Wing's Juneteenth event with $10,000 and staff support. So that is a recommendation from this.
I'm more concerned about the younger generation because I think
Yeah.
their voice is the one that really counts.
And I think,
At the end of the day.
I think more of that has to really come from the community though.
Yes, sir.
The city isn't gonna be, like they said, they would support anything that's brought forward. So us as community members have to get together and bring ideas and say, okay, we wanna, I guess, just spitballing and making it very simple and not by any means a solution. Talk to a couple other cities that may have community centers and say, how'd you get it started? You know, what, did the city donate space? Did a Red Wing Shoe have open space they're not using? And okay, do we want to put in pool tables and foosball tables or video or speakers or, you know, whatever? I think that's what's going to have to happen. I think the city would listen to something, a group who would bring forth something. But I don't know, and I don't think it's the city's responsibility to do it all either.
I will say the city had 10 interns this summer, and they met for 6 times the second half of the summer. And they got to pick what they wanted to meet on, and they picked a youth center. So those kids met, it's totally students, not kids. And they met and they put together I'll send that to you. They put together a document of things that they said, we don't know who's actually going to start this or do it, but we want to, because we said you have 1 hour, you know, pay for food and stuff, and then you guys can meet on whatever topic you want. And they met on it knowing that the city would not run it, but they wanted to provide some feedback from it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they put together that, and I will send that to you, Michael, so you can see what they said.
And I'm just saying that from, you know, what I experienced for me personally. You know, sitting in my little closet office that I have, it's packed, man. I got white kids, I got Hispanic kids, Black kids, and the main thing is they want some, you know, a safe space, something to do after school.
It's needed.
Yeah, you know what I
Especially
mean?
with, like-
and I just don't understand why it's constantly being ignored. Everything else is being done. We got, you know, that's all. I mean, you know, if I offended somebody, you know, it is what it is. You know,
I think we could definitely put
these
up
kids
towards
are
the
more
top
important.
here.
And Spanish.
Say that again?
In Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Indeed, yep. Oh, right. Just a
And
second.
you know what? I'm glad you said that because there's a couple of, I mean, they're bilingual, they're Hispanic, but they said it would be easier for them to explain to their parents. You know, when they're bringing information about this, that, and the other, it's easier, you know, for them to explain to their parents. You know, so I mean, I'm seeing the whole thing when it comes to this younger generation. And I've seen, you know, enough from the adults. And I don't mean it disrespectfully, but
Yeah.
it is what it is, man. We gotta start listening
Yeah,
to
it's
these
just
kids.
getting people, how can I say it, committed to the project. Like Hope Coalition, when that started, there was enough people who thought this is what we need in the community, and they started and got it going. It's like anything, like for a youth center, it's gonna take 5 to 8 people in the community that have, that people listen to. You know, that they've got a foot in the door of Red Wing Shoe or any of these.
Jones Family Foundation.
Yes,
That's,
exactly.
I mean, I mentioned the Jones Family Foundation to you when I called you that day. I'm more than happy to be a volunteer grant writer for it. I've written a lot of grants on these two
But I think,
projects, so-
Michael, we could probably put that up, near the top of the city council to support and put resources into a youth resource center. Just so that it's on,
So, man, you know what, man, it's something for these kids, man. Something. These kids are banging, man.
Michelle, did that group come up with a budget?
I don't believe so. Mm-mm. But I can send it out to this group. I think it's, it's not secret or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, because creating a startup budget and then an operating budget, and then just researching grants.
And then knowing, who's gonna run it, who's gonna take it, who's gonna do all that other stuff, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a volunteer grant writer for it. I don't want to research the grants. I'll volunteer grant writer once it's out.
Minnesota, okay.
So I can make these changes this week and I can send it out Friday, And if you have any other changes or corrections, just let me know.
Do you think, I don't know, I mean, you'd have to speak to, probably Rachel Cobb, but do you think with all this, just like the school stuff and that, we should be adding anything with the Red Wing Promise? Following that, encouraging that?
We could, I just wonder, like it's not a formal recommendation that this group technically has made yet. I don't know
Right.
anything else about the Red Wing Promise, you know what I mean? This was sort of like a summary of
Could it be
what
the way
we
it was like
talked about.
the flight plan stuff, because that wasn't a formal recommendation? I mean,
Well, flight plan was a formal recommendation. You guys did talk about flight paths.
Yeah.
And that both the learn to earn, or earn to learn, and flight paths were formally mentioned, and that is in here somewhere, because I had to look at that.
In the fire department.
could it?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
But I thought it was also,
I thought it was
no,
somewhere
I thought
else
it was
too.
in human resources, that we would fund,
No, it's not.
administrative services, human relations. Talk about the job fair. Here, it's on page 10, letter I. Offer as many student internships as possible along with shadowing opportunities and apprenticeships. Also continue participating in the flight paths and learn to earn programs.
Yeah, I don't know where it would go. It's just such a great thing to engage youth in.
Yeah.
Is that just for 2023 or is it ongoing?
The promise is always.
Can we always? Okay.
Take to your family. Yeah. Take to kiddos who don't feel well. Okay, guys, well, I will make these changes, and Steve, it sounds like, yeah. Anything else? No?
Well, another thing I was thinking of when we talked about the police department, something like Hispanic outreach, it might be neat if we could do like city buildings and have them open, like for I know they've done some open houses, but kind of to give like community members an idea of what resources there are in the city.
Like an open house.
And then if they had interpreters or whatever available, I might just see it as a monthly thing, like each building is open and people could kind of see like, oh, this is what my city has to offer.
Open
And-
houses.
I mean, I don't
so
know,
that
it's a lot of work probably,
Yeah, yeah, no, we do have a thing that I can list that idea under there, because we did talk about how city government, elected leaders, and people can be more available.
but yeah, and to understand what, who does what, or, and like, it's always kind of fun to see behind the scenes too, how things work.
Yes, different buildings. And with interpreters, okay. Great, okay. Okay. Well, you guys, this is a lot of work that you put in and a lot of hours. If you calculated all the hours that you spent doing, working on this, so it is much appreciated, and I think that's why the council and staff want to thank you in December. I mean, we have a small group here, Microsoft, but I will email you and text you about November 14th to see if people can come even for that first half hour. It'd be like 6 to 6:30.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
That would be a mistake.
But you could be there too, yeah.
Yeah,
support.
I'll be
Okay.
there for more support.
Okay.
Was that yours?
Yeah, it was mine. It was somebody trying to get into it. Just because my chocolate's all don't mean the alarm don't work.
Okay, guys, anything else? Otherwise, I'll click off that we are ending this meeting.
Did the Sheldon, did the rush line thing ever come up?
Did the what?
Rush line?
Yes, and when Jeff was here, he talked, was were you here that time?
No, but
okay.
I was training in the jail.
He talked about that, and he talked about like a rush line that.
I'm
people
trying to think what he said.
What he said was he tried that for a season or a portion of a season, and he found that it was, I can't remember what the exact difficulties were to get the word out, and so then people would just line up in the cold, and it was, so what he said was he went back and made a series of, instead of just 2 price points, he made some that were less expensive, so that if people wanted to get into a show, that they could. So that was his way of doing it. And maybe at the end of this season, he'll have a better read on what those 2, he tried one way, now he's going to try the other way. So it'd be interesting to follow up.
I still like the idea of, if there's tickets left, even if it's 10 minutes before, it's like there's tickets. And,
Yeah.
Rush lines are so fun.
It is fun. That's really, it's kind of like, it's more on a whim than, like, I don't plan ahead. And it feels like I don't know. I think it's a completely different mindset. That it's just I think it's actually gonna lower ticket revenue. I mean, because people then will just pick I don't know, maybe.
Oh, if they have just lower price points.
Yeah. I mean, I think the rush is more fun, and it's like if you cut them in half or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever.
I like shows at the show.
They're great. I mean, it's
So I'll try if there was a good one. I don't know, the last good one I seen was when Aaron Neville was there.
Oh.
That reminded me of a kid listening to my grandma play it on the record player. So I could do something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, New York, they have it in Times Square.
They're fun. They're a lot of
Chicago
fun.
does it. I mean, most theaters do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We'll put it back on even though Jeff's.
I mean, this is a good idea too, but it's like it doesn't make sense that we have empty seats.
Ever do the
As
rush
a
line
performer,
in the
you want
summer?
it full. And
Well, even the Academy Awards and all those fancy shows on TV, they have seat fillers, so
Right.
they're called.
Right.
Where if somebody all of a sudden decided they didn't want to go, these people go in and fill in the seat because they want it to look full and they want people
Fun.
there.
It raises the energy level. It's better. I mean, really, it's good for everybody.
We'll have to back in.
You know?
Good. Awesome. Okay, everybody. We're gonna take them some pizza. Okay, we're saying goodbye. Goodbye.